So we're going to start talking about the ExO Builder ecosystem. And what I want to share with you quickly is two very relevant news that we want to share today. The first one being the evidence-based entrepreneurship and lean innovation system, which is a system that was created, curated, and matured for the last 20 years. It's going to be released as a book in November 28th. And basically what it does is that it helps move academic research to the market and thus provide a solution to real and relevant problems. It is remarkably flexible and works as if it were a business model toolbox. It actually was called that way when it was created many years ago. And the story behind Evely, and as you heard before, we've had very interesting people participating in the process, sharing thoughts and ideas and sharing methodologies and tools. It is a massive undertaking of the last 20 years, basically, of a group of more than 300 experts and more than 7,000 collaborators that have been using the system for more than 10 years of venture building programs, and also working directly with specific companies, startups, and scale-ups. So it is a very interesting effort that started in boosting social capillarity, in empowering people, making it contagious, and solving global challenges, as Peter was saying. And right now, what we have is a very interesting system that enables you to build amazing things. These are some of the people that participated in the process. Bob has been fantastic throughout the years, and we basically worked with him in many of the things that you're going to see today, not only the system, but also the platform that has been used by tens of thousands of entrepreneurs worldwide. Salim, obviously a big part of the puzzle, OpenExO. The system, as you'll see, is based on the exponential organizations framework, and the exponential mentality that we were discussing with Peter is one of the crucial parts of not only the system, but also of really impactful entrepreneurship. So very, very relevant. And finally, we also got a very exciting quote from Roberto. Roberto, as you saw, he has a very interesting panoramic view between academia, between government, between private initiative and entrepreneurs. And what they've helped us build here is a very interesting phenomenon of people that are based in 4 different continents, many different countries, more than 50 generations or editions of venture building programs in almost any industry. So you really want to take a look into the system, especially, I would say, and we're really proud of this one, the quote that we got from Bob after working on the system and putting it at that level really makes us very proud of the work that we've been doing as an entrepreneurial community throughout the years. This is what we're going to be sharing with you for the next hour. It's the ExO Builder ecosystem that we are launching today. This has been an effort that has been evolving for the last years. It is an evolution of something that was started as a community that supported entrepreneurs in the 90s, and that has basically grown outside of Mexico, outside of Latin America, outside of America. And now we have presence in Asia, also in Europe. We've been working with people in Africa and Middle East, in Australia. And it has been a very interesting effort of understanding how to develop a scalable, repeatable model where we can create a kind of like a high impact startup factory that allows us to solve global challenges. So we're really proud to share with you today what we have here. A lot of people are going to be coming to the stage, not only the persons that are going to be heading the cells of the ecosystem, but also people that have been in the journey, as part of the journey, that have curated the methodology, that have been entrepreneurs themselves, that have built startups with the system. And as you'll see, it's a very interesting way of creating an entrepreneurial ecosystem, because what we've been doing for, I guess, the last couple of years is trying to understand how we can make it scalable by applying the EXO framework to an ecosystem, which is not really that common. But we were able to pull it off. I mean, one of the advantages that we have on the EXO Builder ecosystem is that we're basically, as you saw, standing on the shoulders of giants. We're super proud of that. We're very happy that we've been able to talk to people that have been changing the world for the last decade or so. And that's why the system and the ecosystem is going to be something that basically changes the way in which we incubate or we accelerate startups worldwide nowadays. It is formed by 6 different parts, very relevant, each and every one of them. They could stand alone, but the amazing and the magic comes basically from all the friction that the ecosystem provides. And as it has been said before, we've trained about 100,000 people already in the system. It has been tested throughout the years, and it's part of the process that we have as an exponential organization, is that it's going to keep iterating. Experimentation is at the core of evidence-based entrepreneurship and lean innovation. There's a very interesting community as well. We're going to have here Mike, the head of all the EBELI system, the methodology, the tools, the trainings, and the certifications, talking to us with 2 brilliant instructors that have basically created deep tech ecosystems in many countries with governments and international organizations. Canoe is the foundation that Salim was talking about, a platform that has been the tool that we've used to train 50 different cohorts of venture building throughout the years, and that has been used by thousands of entrepreneurs worldwide. It is a revolutionary way to build a venture and to do follow-on of cohorts. There's also the EXO Builder Studios. It's a new model of developing studios and startups. We're going to have Gabi, the head of the studios, talking to the 3 studios that we just opened in Calibaja in San Diego, another one in Boston, and also in Chile. So you don't want to miss that. It's going to be interesting, the conversation. So these guys are going to be sharing the strategic planning and the action plans that they have for the next 5 years in terms of impacting the green hydrogen industry, healthcare, and biotech. So you don't want to miss that. Roberto's going to be talking about Trailblazers. He's going to be with 3 of the Trailblazers that are part of the EXO Builder ecosystem. Very interesting community of people that are very much focused on, as Peter was saying, the purpose of bettering the world. Some of the things that you heard along the conversation with Bob and Jeff as well. So if you're interested in becoming part of the community or in helping us build the global ecosystem, you want to reach out to Roberto. And finally, last but not least, actually, we're going to start with them. We're going to talk about exponential angels and the need in entrepreneurial ecosystems for early stage investing. which is one of the key things. And one of the things that we want to talk about with you is basically the inefficiencies that Roberto was mentioning before. These asymmetry of the market, where sometimes you hear the entrepreneurs talking about not enough money to build a venture, but then you go talk to the investors, and what they're saying is that there's a challenge there in finding investable startups. So this is what's going to happen in the next hour. So stay with us. And for starters, I would like to invite again uh, on stage Sebastian, who's heading the Exponential Angels cell, and Adriana Tortajada. Thank you for being with us again. I'm gonna introduce Sebastian as part of the team. He is the chief rainmaker of the ExO Builder. He has worked for the last decade in the financial technology space, where he interacts closely with players in the financial industry in New York, Mexico, and Central America. And this basically enables him to empower entrepreneurs from more than 90 countries by providing access to capital. He's responsible for investing in a better future by coordinating the exponential angels. Sebastian, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you very much, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Sebastian, and like Pedro mentioned, I'm part of the ExO Builder team, and I'm responsible for Exponential Angels. I'm very happy to have Adriana back here with us to talk a little bit about the importance of creating an angel ecosystem, particularly in supporting early stage startups. To make it clear, Exponential Angels is a global angel investor community that has direct access to our ExO Builder pipeline. We're really excited to welcome any investor that is willing and able to support entrepreneurs as they start on their entrepreneurial journey. And we believe that by making this community, the ExO Angels part of our community, we can give them a unique value proposition, not only by giving them direct access to these startups, but also by providing them information and a global community of co-investors. Adriana, welcome. I would love to maybe just have a casual chat with you, talk a little bit about the experience you've had working with investors in the past and how you see them making a change in this ecosystem. Uh, to start, maybe can you tell us a little bit, refresh a little bit of your background, particularly as it relates to working with other investors in the community?
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian, for having me. And thank you, Frederick, for inviting me again to share with all this great audience. Thank you for your comments. I was so, so tied to the conversation. So thank you for all the comments in the chat. And it's important, pretty relevant and point to address when you are launching this kind of methodology and gathering all this, information and relevant, validated work with those specialists in quotes, material to consultation material for the entrepreneurs. What are the investors, right? So being, for the last almost 20 years, trying to encourage, early stage investment in Latin America, of course, from Mexico, launching, different programs with the public and private sector, and you start to put the right metrics on how to measure a successful strategy. I think is pretty relevant. I've been, launching and pioneer the venture capital ecosystem and in Mexico and from the rest of the region without knowing, with a pretty talented team. And I think sometimes you have to be so naive to say, well, we can create, why not? We were, planning to create the first early VC fund out of the public resources with the World Bank Corporation and the National Development Bank in Mexico. And we, make a pretty live study before and say, well, Mexico has, is the second largest economy. It has a huge demographic, to be honest, the second, youngest country just, behind India and the world. We have more than 27 centers of, science and technology innovation, auspiced and granted by the National Science and Technology Center. we are close to the largest, market, of course, US and Canada. We're the most open economies in the world. We're more, I don't know, 13 on, I don't know how much trades now we have, right? So being there and say it's going to be really easy to replicate, the typical, garage stories to, say, guys, you will have a lot of innovation, and we can, fulfill the first 1 million round, which is the challenges, this first round of capital for every entrepreneur across the globe. So we say, okay, we're gonna put 700,000, and we're gonna raise out of the first angel investors the additional 300. The surprise was there was none. It was the early 2000, and we took a little bit, step back and say, okay, we need to train, how to take additional risk out of the traditional, sectors where the investors or the family office or the high net worth individuals were doing and allocated their, savings and taking that risk. So, talking about long-term commitments and how this additional value, not only the money, the network, the different things. So I was part of the great movement to, start to create the angel investors networks. They actually, a lot of successful people then create an angel investors fans and angel investors network. And this, was a huge movement across the globe. It was not only for, underdeveloped economies. It was a huge challenge. So we definitely create a partnership with UK, and that's where understand the relevancy to have these angel networks. Because when you're looking for an angel investor in early stage, the most relevant thing, and also if you're planning to become an angel investor, is you must to be careful to have fun. Maybe you're not going to have money out of that initiative, but you must be ready to allocate a portion of your money or your savings to say, I need to give back to the community with our launch, when I launch my businesses, when I become a successful enterprise business people, and give back. So the angel DNA mindset, it has to have fun, give back, and of course out of that you will have some some value, definitely. Not always going to be money. Sometimes it's going to be an active to interchange for additional things, right? Or an intellectual property or an infrastructure or something that you can evolve and add to the portfolio. So being there, for the last 10 years, and then that, first fund and angel investor co-investment strategy create the national strategy to create funds in Mexico in early stage, first time funds, first time managers, and evolve all these strategies. So the relevancy to really, and I congratulate you guys to put this topic on the spot, is the seed, right? The actors, the angel investors takes so relevance when we want to democratize the access of entrepreneurs coming out of different backgrounds, of diversity. If they need help, they need not only money, experience, networking, platform visibility. So that is where the angels came out of the to scope. So that's a little bit of my background. So being creating these programs across the region and now internationally, which is starting again all over again.
Fantastic. No, and thank you very much. I feel like I feel very honored to really speak with one of the people who really kickstarted this angel, not only angel, but also the VC investment movement throughout Latin America. I think one of the interesting things that you mentioned, this last part, was about the experience of being an angel investor, right? It's not only about putting in money and forgetting about your checks. I think angels have a very special role in the startup ecosystem, particularly in the very early stages, where you can really, as an outside member of the organization, really help an entrepreneur succeed if you give them the right advice, the right connections. So I'd love to maybe, having built these local networks, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about, what makes a successful angel, and what type of angels should we be looking to have in this exponential angels community?
Well, that's a very great question. I think the most relevant, characteristic for a successful angel or exo angel is the values and the role they are playing, and put it on the table, on the beneficiary for the entrepreneurs or the teams or the companies. They must be careful to think how to create a 360 degrees impact, pursued a positive impact for everyone that is involved in the equation: the founders, the teams, the investors, the service providers, the value change, the sustainability environment where they are playing. I think those are the characteristics to think, bigger, broadly, and pretty holistic way, and connect these opportunities with what is happening in that particular industry, particular segment, and be linked with the rest of the things that are currently happening at the same time, same speed, and the windows of opportunity of entrepreneurship are so tight. So the angel must have these characteristics, right? To have this mindset, to be willing to help, to be willing to take action and become another team player, on the top, of course, of pursuing a return, which is pretty valuable. They are putting their savings there, right? They put it. So they have, the rise to exceed, to have metrics, but also to take a pretty relevant and, like a primary role in the involvement. So values, connections, and of course, I will say, I don't know if it's the right word in English, but stomach. And what I mean with that, guts, right? You need to have to be patient. You are the early one coming into the party. You don't want to, leave before all the funny things happen. You want to be the last one to left from the fun. So I think sometimes in emerging economies, an angel investor has to have guts to support and be a patient, and an intelligent and human capital, as the previous panel were saying, because we are not there for a short period of time. Entrepreneurship, it's like a roller coaster ride, and it's like a hike in a mountain. So you must be aware that those are the rules of the game you are playing.
Awesome. No, and I completely agree. I think guts is a very important characteristic because it is definitely a ride, but I am certain it is most of the time a very enjoyable one. And then you've really been one of these really trailblazers, if you will, in creating and kickstarting these VC ecosystems, not only in Mexico but of course throughout Latin America. And given that experience, I think it's very much aligned with what we're trying to do here at Exponential Angels, right? We're trying to create this global community of angels that are not only investing locally, but are also working, across borders. So, can you tell me a little bit about, what's like the value that these international networks and these kind of cross-border or global approach brings to an angel, and what do you think angels can learn from each other?
That's so relevant, point, Sebastian. When I started this, early 2000, and I took a course at UCLA, it has a school, and it was open innovation and corporate entrepreneurship. So my teachers, when I asked why, do you are not investing in Mexican early innovation startup or in Latin American? So we are just across the bridge, right? We are an additional bridge. So the entrepreneurship innovation must become the new bridge from, North America. And of course, Mexico, like the door from the rest of Latin America, and of course, the rest of the regions. But they were saying, because we have a rule, we need to be, close to our investment to be careful of what is happening in the value and blah, blah, blah. And I was, hacking that, and I said, why? We are in a digital world. You don't have to be there. You just have to be, available. So you have to be, ready to give an additional. So the relevancy to create these international networks and to really have advantage to, be before the local market is, ready to come into the party, as was saying. So being a successful and experienced angel investor, you can take advantage of the inefficiencies of emerging economies, being, a well-developed and experienced angel investor or serial entrepreneur that is willing to give back. So you can co-invest right now with a pretty international basics, right? With a pretty global
Yeah.
mindset, because sometimes the same solution, let's put it the way, the same problem, it will face in for a lot of, bunch of people around the world. So you must, across these international networks and this international partnership, you will have on real time the opportunity to see if some of the solutions that are emerging can collaborate, can go faster if they go and like a team, and instead to compete and take every portion and take, more time to really hack the situation, and take this opportunity to the world and take it faster to the market. So I think that is a relevancy to be part of the international community, be linked, be a pretty proactive, member, and take advantage of that, because you will have like a dashboard, the opportunity to see in real time what is happening and how, different approaches and mindset are solving the same problem with different tools. So for example, right now, I have pretty quite diverse, footprint in my current job. So I can see how, emerging economies are hacking and solving with a pretty brilliant, way the same problems that the developed economies are taking long, because they're in a different,
Yeah.
times. So they are willing to see what is happening here to take advantage and take it to the next level for the rest of their geographies. So it's pretty relevant, so important more than ever to be linked with a pretty international perspective, because the same things are happening globally.
Awesome. No, I completely agree. And, I think part of it is, we're not just giving the offer from all, everywhere. We are really creating this community that allows you to really share those learnings and kind of, de-risk, if you will, by working, still being at the table, even, if it's remotely, by having people that you trust, kind of putting skin in the game with you. Uh, so we've talked quite a bit about investors, and of course, we're important. We sometimes tend to forget we're only part of the equation. So I would love to maybe shift gears a little bit and talk about entrepreneurs. Um, I just want to get your views on early stage funding and how crucial is it for these entrepreneurs to find the right partners early on.
It's the most important thing. It's like a marriage. You must be, pretty thoughtful about who you will finally decide to spend a large portion of your life, because there's gonna be for a long time. So sometimes I like to make the analogy: if the marriage, will put a contract and a pretty clear agreement like we normally do in the investment, atmosphere, less of the worst will happen, because you can put the rules from the beginning. The
Right.
things that you can take, the things you are not willing to take, the values and the capabilities you're going to put on the table on the surface of that team, and you're willing to take everything until the last, right? To really become a successful company or startup or scale up. So I think what is happening right now, and I'm a little bit surprised, after being in the cycle of the first 15 years, a bubble of emerging economies and the ecosystem, and angels, starting to make, co-investment cross border, as you were mentioned. Now, every time they have a successful, VC firm or angel investor, they have more money to allocate. So the challenge is still the same. When you have more assets under management, you have to do a bigger ticket, sorry, and you move from the stage of early investments. So I really encourage everyone that is really, can definitely at themselves like an angel investor. They have this passion to add value. Do not step away of the early stage, because you are leaving a lot of money on the table. Being an early investor is the opportunity to be the ones that add value, to be the ones and take, and
Yeah.
stay for enough time to take the largest amount of money at the end of the game, right? At the exit. So you must be patient and intelligent and be, a partner, a real partner with your founders. So, that is pretty relevant, because I think more and more days, people is moving from the spot of seed. So don't forget, this is where actually the companies emerge. It's easy to have, to be at the final stage
Yeah.
with the IPO and have a percentage, but you left, instead to have 10, 12% of returns, you left 40 the opportunity to have the 40% of IRR.
Awesome. I think that's completely on point. And I like to say early stage is where the real fun happens.
Exactly. And the really value added there. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very
Fantastic.
much, Sebastian and Pedro, for having me here.
On the
It's very
contrary,
exciting for me to have you both here at the same time, especially, I mean, uh, Sebastian investing in 90 countries, you being a Kaufman Fellow, Adriana, and creating ecosystems. We don't have that much time to go, but I guess for me, the big question to you guys is, and going back a bit to what Roberto was saying about the global market inefficiencies and the asymmetries and all that stuff, how can we, in the vision of creating a global ecosystem, leverage those things? How can we give access to the entrepreneur that is in South America finding money, but there are no angel investors focused on that technology? Or how can we connect the angel investor in Tokyo that is not finding the proper entrepreneur in his ecosystem? What's the best way to go and to really connect the dots?
You take it first, Sebastian. I spoke a lot.
fantastic. No, I mean, I think it comes down to having these networks, right? I think what we're doing here is really try to have a global approach, not only having the connections made, but really having some unique value there. So both sides of this equation, the entrepreneur and the investor, have an incentive to connect. The way we do that is by not only kind of doing an intro email, but also providing data to both sides of the table, making sure that we're sending the right opportunities to the right people, and additionally, giving them these tools that add value beyond the opportunity to invest. So by working with, for example, ExO Builder and the work that all the other parts of the ecosystem are doing with entrepreneurs, the investors know that they already have access to a pre-vetted set of companies that have been de-risked, that have been working to really get to the point where they're investment ready. And ultimately, I think that is exactly what Exponential Angels is about. It's about connecting the right people with the right opportunities. And if you're an angel investor and you're interested in joining this community or learning more about what we do, I encourage you to go to our booth in the Hopin event. You'll be able to find a sign-up form there. And there we'll not only get your information, but we'll talk about exactly what kind of stuff you want to invest in to make sure that we're sending you the right opportunities.
And if I might just add, because you say everything, Sebastian, so thank you. But, definitely the, ability to become a member of a community, it's pretty relevant. Nowadays, you cannot be a lonely ranger just to try to pursue, where to allocate your money. No, you have to be another team player and you have to be, linked and a member of your local, community of investors, your national community of investors, international, maybe regional, maybe, of course, the sectors, as Sebastian was saying, or, the pretty particular interest where you can add value and you're an expert too, or you have access to those networks. So that glue that, Bob Dorf mentioned, angel investors have do believe that are the glue between the actors that can really connect the dots and add value. And, of course, teach. The rest are a little bit behind on timing and an appetite of risk to take the right risk with the right people, with the right team, and put it, of course, in open disclosure.
Fantastic.
Thank you guys. It was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate a lot all those interesting ideas that you shared, the thoughts, and obviously, as Sebastian was saying, we invite everyone to go to the booths and search for more information about exponential angels. As you see, this is going to be an interesting effort that we're going to deploy worldwide with support of people like the ones that you've been seeing today. Thank you, Adriana. We'll talk soon. Sebastian, take care. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you both. Bye bye.
Um, For the next segment, we're going to be talking about the exponential studios or the ExO Builder studios. And we have Gabriela Romero, who's the Chief Ubuntu Officer of the ExO Builder. For several years, she has empowered tech-based startups in Latin America with an active role in different universities, government agencies, and industry associations. She has a passion for fostering the transfer of knowledge and the creation of interdisciplinary technologies. She has guided more than 800 projects implemented by public and private institutions and startups. Very excited to have her leading the cell that is going to be in charge of the ExO Builder Studios. And I hear you have a fantastic group of panelists, Gabriela. So thank you for being here with us.
Hi, thanks for that intro, Pedro. What a great seminar we have so far. So many interesting conversations and ideas too. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to now Eugenio Cantuarias, Eric Patel, and Eduardo Valtierra. Welcome, guys. Good.
Hello, Gabriela. Hi, Pedro. Thanks for the invite.
Hi, Eugenio. Hi. Eugenio Cantuarias is an engineer with 15 years of professional experience working in consulting. He has held management positions and led companies in many industries and business development, operational excellence, and investment project management. Since 2016, he has been focused on acceleration at Acelera Latam, and since 2020, on investing in Acelera Ventures. And Eric Patel served as Chief Innovation Officer at Boston ExO, where he helps company through continuous business model innovation. He also serves as project coordinator at OpenExO, as well as on the economic treasury teams, and he's co-leading the new Exponential Individuals initiative. So in this minute, we'll discuss ExO Builder Studios. So welcome. As Pedro said, the ExO Builder Studios are the cornerstone of the ecosystem that leverage 10 years of experience, a system that has been tested and perfect for 20 and more years, a digital platform that has innovated venture building for the last decade, a community of instructors and therapists from more than 20 countries, and they are the only studios based on the ExO framework that leverage a community of more than 8,000 experts of innovation and technology. The ExO Builder Studios have a plug-and-play model and work as nodes of a global net that connect to create global startups with market inefficiencies. So let's start this quick conversation with you, Eugenio. Can you share your plans for the ExO Builder Concepción Studio that you will be leading? Please open your microphone, Eugenio. Yeah.
Yes, now. Yeah, of course, Gabriela. It's actually a pretty funny story how I came to cross the ExO Builder Studios and Pedro and you, of course. So maybe I can start from there, and then I can share my experience so far. That's pretty small, working with the studio, or maybe with the idea of implementing one studio very focused on the green hydrogen industry here in Chile. Okay, yeah, well, let's start with the story. So I think that around between 8 and 6 months ago, I was like with a idea in behind, like, the back boiler of my head, like, okay, we are at a pretty straight, or we have a pretty big opportunity in Chile for the climate, for the conditions that Chile has for the developing of the green hydrogen industry. And we in Acelera Latam, that's where I'm a partner as a startup accelerator and a young VC. we just were focusing on one idea. We didn't want to miss the opportunity of that ecosystem, of the ecosystem that's going to be built around the industry that is like in diapers right now, but it's probably going to explode at some point in Chile. And I was like focusing on, okay, how we do this, how we can manage to not miss the opportunity that is going to be presented in Chile, but certainly for transferring the technology from the green hydrogen ecosystem, or that what was going to be developed around that industry, to other industries and to escalate it globally. Yeah? That was basically the main and super ambitious idea that we had like 6 or 8 months ago. And that's how I came to cross my path with Pedro. And like in a simple conversation, well, we crossed up in through LinkedIn. So it was like a pretty like, okay, we send us a message. So where are you up to? And I was pretty like, well, I'm a pretty straightforward guy. So I don't know if I'm a very bright guy, but I like talk things very straight. I told Pedro, this is our problem, and this is like the opportunity we don't want to miss. So basically, the same thing I'm sharing with you guys right now. And that's when Pedro started to sing me the song about Canoe, about OpenExo, about ExO Builders, about the model. And okay, and 6 to 8 months from that first conversation, we are now launching our local ExO Builder for the green industry, also for the green hydrogen industry. That's going to be developed as a venture builder with another venture capital fund that's going to be investing in the startups that are going to get through the program. So it's basically a pretty round idea that we managed to develop and create. I don't know if that's the proper word, but we started to develop since the idea with Pedro a few months ago, and then you came along, Gabriela, and then came Sebastian Molina along that path, and then I started to assign some resources from Acelera to the idea to developing of the project. And seems pretty real right now.
Yeah, I think Pedro is always at the right time. So thanks, Eugenio, for that. That's very interesting. I know we have so many thoughts to share, and for that reason, Eric joined us. So what about you, Eric? Can you tell us about your ExO Builder Boston studio, about your focus, and how you will be building your community?
Yeah, thanks very much, Gabby, and thanks, Pedro, and everybody at OpenEXO, and everybody that's kind of joined us today for this really awesome kickoff event for EXO Builder Boston. So our story is not as elaborate or long, for that matter, but we're definitely excited to be part of this. We will be, one of the first ones, as Pedro mentioned, in the States, right, to have a studios. And here, at least in the greater Boston area, I think, as many of you know, we've gotten a little bit of a reputation for industries in tech, right? We're known as the Silicon Valley of the East Coast, right? And we do have a pretty strong presence in biotech, pharma, med devices, right? And also just internet and sort of technology startups. And last year, Boston EXO was formed, and we thought we were really well positioned to kind of take everything EXO moving forward, certainly in the greater New England area. And we sort of branched out and we started to do some stuff helping entrepreneurs as well, and now just individuals, right? And that's really going to be the focus of our studios, is trying to help startups, entrepreneurs, and companies who want to become exponential, right? And this happens at many different levels. The Exponential Organizations book, of course, right? At the company level. It happens at the team level as well. But I think it ultimately starts sort of with, the individuals, right? So we want to definitely help startup companies and entrepreneurs become exponential organizations during this period of time, the 2020s, proclaimed, of course, by OpenEXO as the decade of the EXO. And there are actually many companies doing just that, including ourselves, Boston EXO, making sort of concurrent progress with not only growing their business and their startup, but also pursuing this different non-scarcity abundance mindset, leveraging exponential technologies to stay competitive, to disrupt their industries, and achieve exponential valuation. So the question really, we ask is, it's sort of a dichotomy between, do you want to disrupt or be disrupted, right? This is the proactive versus reactive response. As I always say, unless you're Zildjian and you've been making drum cymbals for 400 years, your business model is going to change, right? So it's best we believe, to do this proactively as opposed to reactively. So ExO Builder Boston is going to help startup companies not only kind of change the corporate mindset and also their thought processes to grow into either, let's say, a traditional startup like many entrepreneurs aspire to run and do, or even become something a little bit newer, different, let's say like a distributed autonomous organization or DAO. So we hope to bring together entrepreneurs, different organizations to collaborate again over a multi-week sprint following the Canoe EBLE process. And, we are looking to run a number of cohorts starting next year, one in the spring, one in the summer, one in the fall. We'll probably start with a smaller group and we'll kind of build out from there. And we're really looking forward to it. So we're excited to be part of this journey.
Yeah, a lot of work and very exciting too. This meeting is by no Pedro, but it's very exciting. I'm glad to help you on that journey, Eric and Eugenio, with the ExO Builder team. So thanks to everyone. As you know, we have other important conversations with with the rest of the ExO Builder team. So thanks for all. And Pedro, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to come on stage again and thank you both publicly. This is very exciting for the ExO Builder ecosystem. As you know, we are very much focused on building startups that really make a difference, and for that, we need to focus on the main industries and the largest problems. I mean, that was basically the conversation we just had with Jeff and Peter and Bob and Salim and Roberto and Adriana and all those guys. And it's very exciting for me personally to have you both focusing on clean energy and health. I do think that clean energy and health, and especially longevity and that kind of stuff, CRISPR, biotech genomics, green hydrogen, it's going to be the future in the next couple of months. So that's exciting. I mean, I'm talking to people that are very much focused on forging the near future instead of just, as you were saying, Eric, reacting to what might happen. So thank you for trusting on the ecosystem that we're building here. Thank you for believing in the system and in the team. And thank you for being part of OpenExO. So we really appreciate it. And looking forward to changing the world with you guys.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Pedro. Bye. Thank you all.
Bye. For anyone that is interested in either starting a startup studio or interested in participating, collaborating with the studios that we're going to open, please reach out. There's a booth in Hopin where you can get all the info and the call to action. So just reach out and we'd be more than happy to guide you through the process. Thank you, guys.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to invite on stage Mike Sainz. He is the chief alchemist of the ExO Builder. He's an entrepreneur that has built companies from scratch in industries like mining, consulting, tourism. He studies business tools as a hobby. That's actually how we met, and has developed handbooks, manuals, blueprints for different specialties, industries, and corporate maturity stages. So, Mike, thank you. Thank you for being here. We are very excited about hearing more about EBLE, about the trainings, about the book. And also, we're very excited to see that you have an amazing company on stage. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having this conversation.
Thank you, Pedro. And I would like to start with there is a book called Who Not How that Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy wrote. They say that we procrastinate and fail to achieve our goals not because we don't know how to do it, but because sometimes we don't know how to do it. That's the why behind the instructors and the Sherpas in the ExO Builder ecosystem that you just talked about it. The community of instructors and Sherpas are the staff on demand that knows the Everly methodology that we are launching the book in the next weeks. And they walk the talk as an entrepreneur and are the who that helps entrepreneurs figure out the next step for the venture building. And to get a deep understanding of the power of coaches and mentors, I'm pleased to present two excellent instructors and mentors that have dedicated their life to being entrepreneurs and serving them as instructors and mentors. Like Bob Dorff just said, we don't have a choice. We as entrepreneurs needed to pay it forward as mentors. Mike Abbott is an investor, innovator, and business strategy consultant, product developer, engineering, and speaker. In addition, he's a technology entrepreneur across a broad spectrum of industries. Welcome, Mike. Edmund Pendleton is an entrepreneur, angel investor, mentor, and advisor for technology startups companies, founder and co-founder of several businesses. Edmund, welcome.
Good to be here.
Thank you both for joining us on this conversation about the importance of having an instructor, coach, or a mentor as an entrepreneur. But before we start, I would like to encourage our audience to ask any questions or make any comments in the chat. So we have heard that if you have the proper methodology and if you follow up the process, you can succeed in your startup building. Others say that it's about the coaches or mentors you have along the path. So based on your past experience, what do you think about the proper methodology or being the coach or mentored by the right people is the way to succeed? You can jump when you want, Mike or Edmund.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. And I would say, I'll start by saying I think both have some validity in the perspective, right? So let's take the analogy of a sports team. Just because you know how to play the game doesn't mean you don't need the coach on the sideline, right? So the reality is you can read the book, you can understand the material, you can even practice some of the material that you see in a book, just like you would if you were taking any kind of course, say an engineering course or a business course, et cetera. But the reality is having someone with you who has been there, who's seen where the potholes are along the trail, and have worked with other teams and understand where you might be challenged and then how to get you out of those challenges is an incredibly important part of getting through from idea inception to launch. So it's sort of a combination of the two. Both are important. And in the best case scenario, the instructor knows the material well enough, right? The coach understands the material well enough that the book becomes a reference, right? It's something you read, it's something you understand and you study, but at the end of the day, the instructor or the coach, their responsibility there is to indeed coach you, right? It's to get you down the field.
Thanks, Mike. Edmund, do you want?
I would 100% agree with that. I think that one of the things to kind of keep in mind, and I kind of laughed when you asked the question, Mike, because both Mike and I are and have been entrepreneurs, and I know there are many a time we wish we'd had better guidance way back when, right? And we've been early advocates and instructors of the Lean Startup Method through a number of programs, not only in the U.S., but also internationally. And the thing that I think we find that is helpful is giving the entrepreneurs tools and concepts that they can use to think through what they're facing, right? Really trying to kind of to some degree reduce that uncertainty level. And I think that it's really important, again, for the instructors, and this is what Mike and I would tell you, to have not only the practical experience having been entrepreneurs, which we think is really helpful, but also having the practical experience of helping teams go through this. And it's really something you don't learn unless you try to do it. And I think we both take the approach when we work with teams that we're a part of that team. we don't tell them to go off and do something and come back and report. We jump right in with them. And I think that's really important if you're going to move entrepreneurs forward, because it is just not something you learn from a book. And it's really sort of hand to hand, as we know. And nobody moves at a specific pace either. We like to say that, it's not time-based, it's evidence-based. And so what's your evidence? And that's what we keep these entrepreneurs focused on.
Thank you, Edmund. And we have in the audience instructors and Sherpas certified in the ExO Builder Everly methodology. And for them, what would be the characteristics of being a great mentor or a great coach? Or the other question is, which aren't?
Another very good question. I will jump in here and say that we have been asked this a lot of times. It seems like it comes up quite often. And it's hard to identify specifically, but I will start with some things that I think really do matter. Obviously having had some prior experience and having walked in someone else's shoes is really important. And what I mean by that is, we rely a lot on customer discovery, sending teams out to talk to prospective customers and also other stakeholders. Well, Mike and I can sort of empathize and guide them because we've done that ourselves, right? So having that practical experience is really important. Creating a startup is not easy. It takes a lot of persistence, as we've heard today. And even when you do everything, quote, right, doesn't guarantee your success. You're still going to fail a lot along the way. So I think we start by looking for instructors that are, A, willing to put the work in, B, understand exactly what these entrepreneurs are going through, right? And then C, will take the time and have the same persistence that we demand of them. It's just really important. And now, final thing I will say, sorry, because you got me going, Mike, is you have to learn too, right? Mike and I change every time we teach. We incorporate new things in that we've learned from the folks we're working with. And so you have to follow the same process you teach.
Yeah. I'll add to that. There's one quality that, frankly, it's really hard to develop without working a lot with the teams, which is being able to prevent yourself from crossing the line from being a coach to being the expert consultant in the room. Because the reality is, and we've worked with thousands of teams across a myriad of industries. And even when we see teams working in the exact same space on the exact same, notional problems in the world, a lot of times what these folks learn based on the people they interact with, et cetera, are different. The contexts are different. The people they talk to have different perspectives. So being able to prevent yourself from deciding, because I'm the coach, I know the answer, is a very hard quality to create, but it is absolutely critical for an instructor to not believe they have all the answers, right? Our role as instructors is to be experts in the process, not in the outcome of what the teams are trying to create, right? That's for them to decide. So that's why we say we're part of the team. We dive in with them because we're learning at the same time, not just more about the process, but also about what their opportunity might look like. Because innovation shows up in some of the strangest places, right? When you don't expect it.
Great. And we spoke before, Mike, about some fundamentals shared between entrepreneurs, like the way we decide human behaviors, cognitive knowledge, but still culture can have a significant impact on the success of an entrepreneur and the way they implement the process of venture building. Can you help us understand a little bit more what you mean about this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll let Edmund jump here after this, because he mentioned we've worked domestically in the U.S. We've worked internationally. We've actually spent a lot of time with Pedro in Mexico. I just saw Gabriela. Gabri, if you're still there, it's nice to see you again. We worked with you in Chile. So we've worked internationally. And when we talk about cultural differences, I want everybody here to understand it's not just country to country or region to region cultural differences. It's also corporation to corporation, right? Startup entrepreneur to startup entrepreneur. Everybody sort of maintains their own cultural perspective. And while the fundamentals about how people make decisions around solutions can be sort of codified, if you will, the approach that you have to take in order to coach people into gaining that information has to change. We heard earlier an anecdote which rang true for me about being in Korea and having people say, you can't do that here, right? You can't be an entrepreneur and do that here, because if you fail, you'll never get another job. And that's something you have to be able to empathize with and find strategies to help those people still execute a process without putting themselves at the risk that they're feeling, because it's already risky enough to be an entrepreneur. So you can't add to the risk. You're trying to mitigate risk, right? And that happens within company to company as well. Even within the same country, is the corporate culture changes what you can and can't do. Edmund, you have anything to add to that?
No, I would certainly agree with that. And I think one of the things that we like to point out is innovation knows no boundaries, right? There are different contexts within which people try to innovate. And it's important for instructors to understand that. And I think, again, it goes back to what we teach our teams, right? We talk about the concept of the job your customer is trying to get done. Well, you have to, as an instructor, understand the job or jobs your customers are trying to get done and help them get through that. And so, again, that makes a good instructor. I think it comes with some practice and time, but absolutely these lessons are universal if you look at them in the right perspective, we believe.
Great, thanks. Pedro jump in, so I think he wants to comment something, Pedro.
Yeah, we're about to finish, and I just wanted to thank you guys for being here, and for all the members of the audience that do not recognize these two guys. Edmund was mentioned by Steve Blank at some point as the best lean startup instructor in the world. So we are so proud of you and so happy to have you here. And Mike is probably the guy that has trained more successful startups in the world with the US NSF, the US SBA, SBIR, and STTR. And you guys have done amazing work in countries like Trinidad and Tobago with the WIPO, Chilean government, Mexico. Actually, it's funny because I'm reading some of the comments on the chat, and I have there some of the victims that you guys worked with like 7 years ago, and apparently they're still happy with the process. So I'm happy about that. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, so Pedro, one comment for that. For those of you that are victims of us from many years ago, right? The other quality about instructors is you have to be able to be an instructor and say, we have a lifetime guarantee, right? If at any point in the future you decide what we've given you instruction on is wrong or needs to be modified, or you want to contact us again, do it. So for those of you in the audience that are victimized by us in the last decade, reach out again. We'd love to hear what you're doing and help us grow as instructors. Right.
Agreed. I always hand out Mike's number when I get those calls.
Right.
So you feel free. I'll give you his number. Great to see you again, Pedro, and everybody that's on the line. We hope to work with you all soon. It's an exciting opportunity, and we are super passionate about this, and there's nothing more enjoyable than working with motivated entrepreneurs and innovators. So hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I'm very proud to have you here. So you can jump into the booth. We have an instructor and Sherpa's booth there. You can see about the methodology, evidence-based entrepreneurship and lean innovation, but also you can see that we are building a new certification program that will be launched soon. So join into the booths and fill your form. It won't take you more than 3 minutes. And we really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
And finally, to close the event, we're going to have on stage another amazing group of people. Roberto Vélez is going to be leading the conversation. He's the ExO Builder High Commissioner, and he currently leads the ExO Builder Trailblazers program. He has a mixed background of professional experience in electronic engineering, telecommunications, IoT, and recently IT software and international development project management. He currently leads fintech initiatives in Mexico and the Caribbean with the purpose of accelerating the fintech ecosystem, and has designed and implemented science, technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation projects in Mexico, US, and UK. Roberto, thank you for leading the cell of the Trailblazers. And I'm really happy about the audience that you have today, the people that you're having the conversation with. It's super exciting people, and I hope you have a great conversation.
Oh, thank you very much, Pedro, for this great event and for letting me and letting us wrapping up this amazing initiative. So I just want to share a little bit about what is Trailblazers. And well, we're pretty much the ambassadors of the ExO Builders initiative. And our purpose is to, well, going into every latitude around the globe and share about this amazing opportunity of, well, getting to know from experts about this methodology or integration of entrepreneurship methodologies that are very, very valuable, especially when starting up a project or joining into startups. So pretty much what we do is we are looking for well, local influencers where we can detect challenges, local challenges from the public or private sectors. And our role is to create these networks and spot the challenges and gather and communicate to the different audiences. Well, this path to the ExO Builders program, and of course adapting these challenges to be able to become to come up with successful enterprises, and to learn from these methodologies, and of course utilize the ExO Builders network to well, different benefits, such as raising capital or shaping up an idea or scaling up a project. We're covering the widest spectrum of entrepreneurship, and we want to, of course, find talent all around the globe and be able to build this global network. And of course, you're more than invited of being part of this adventure. I will share on the chat a link where you can tell us a little bit more about yourself if you're interested in joining the Trailblazers initiative. And of course, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the first pioneering 3 trailblazers of this program. I will introduce you to Mark Schechter, Steven Rodriguez, and Tom Hockett. Please welcome to this panel. And the purpose of this panel is to share the background experience of the first trailblazers of a program, and how it connects to the Open ExO Builders initiative, and of course from their experience learn how this startup and entrepreneurship tools has helped them and helped others to succeed into the entrepreneurship world. So let me start with you, Mark. Well, just to let our audience know a little bit more about you. Mark is an internationally credited TV and film producer and writer. He's currently a disruptive business design strategist, and now he's a co-founder and CEO of Think8 Global Institute. Welcome, Mark. And since we're going to start with you, let me throw this question. Please tell us how important is it to have a global startup ecosystem vision? How does this help to articulate a good thesis or a good story to raise capital?
Well, thank you, Roberto. Well, let me put it very simply. Speaking from my Hollywood background of pitching and so forth, money likes a good idea, but more fundamentally, money loves a vision. And when money looks at the product or service, the thing, they're also really looking at the people behind the thing. So when I hear people talk about an ecosystem vision, they often talk about just as an idea and not with any form or substance. So the definition that we like to use for a vision is different. It's like saying, I want to build an electric car. And we'd say, well, tell me more, like exactly how. Well, I haven't worked it out yet, but I think the idea is really cool. Or, working with people like Steve Martin and Jim Carrey and music for Elton John, Ray Charles, and these people not only had the idea, but they had the complete understanding of who they are and what they want to bring to the world. So when you're pitching, for example, in Hollywood, and you tell this wonderful idea, aliens invade a Western town, they go, okay, what happens in season 2? Well, I haven't thought it through yet. So a vision, by our definition, is an idea that is fully developed, that ignites passion, purpose, we've heard that word a lot today, and performance. And I think it was Bob Dorff and others who said, let me see the thing done, because the thing done is the thing. So the very core of a vision that attracts partners, money, and public is a vision, which leads me to really the point that I have found in working with startups and Fortune 500 companies that have stalled. It's not just the age of digital. And I know this deeply, it's the age of narrative. The best story wins. You can have a brilliant idea, but you cannot articulate it. And so much of our work is helping people form their narrative. Now, they have to understand who they are, and that gets into that purposeful thing. We hear a lot about purpose-driven companies and so on. But what they don't realize entirely, and what I have learned from show business, is it's not just the purpose of the thing, it's the purpose behind doing the thing. So when you look at personal purpose versus product purpose, there's the gap. I can say Disney wanted not just to make cartoons for kids, he wanted to build an empire that had a different viewing experience for audiences. You could say Jobs wasn't just about the best computer, he was wanting to make a dent in the universe. You can go on and on. Musk, you could say, oh, a really cool electric car. But he was really about fossil fuel conversion to, free forms of energy. So what is driving the individual? And the work we do so much and so deeply with startups that I said in these companies is really finding that passion, because when you hit that passion, when you hit that personal driver, that life purpose, and it's quite an experience, something wonderful happens. The ideas start flowing and your story starts to be told. It's quite amazing that if you step back, way back, and it was said beautifully about one of the other speakers originally about you have to step out of the problem. I think Einstein said it best, and he didn't do badly, I think, as a living. You step back from the problem, and you look at it through a different lens. Well, you could say, fundamentally as a thesis, that the barrier to problem solving is lack of the creative capacity to solve it. Conversely, if you're stalled, ignite that creative capacity. So if you find your purpose, your personal purpose, something amazing happens. The story starts to write itself. It becomes authentic. You can talk it, you can tell it, people buy into it, the adoption happens, the money comes because it's authentic. And if one thing is truer and truer these days, watching organizations and groups, particularly in this particular time in history, people are looking at that indicator. They're looking at the thing, but they're looking at what drives the people behind. Will they stay with it? Can they perform? Are they committed? That durability, that duration. So ultimately what we're looking for is narrative. And so really in sum, it is the age, yes, of digital and all kinds of explosive things and blockchain. For example, you could say, well, blockchain is really to be able to get rid of the middleman. I've heard that argument, as opposed to really having proprietary rights and ownership at a whole other level. So the age of digital, yes. But what I'm finding in the work increasingly, it's the age of narrative. Basically, the best story wins. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mark. And as you mentioned, nowadays, narrative is a hard skill. And it is something, crucial for, especially when you're pitching for rounds of investment, or when you want to communicate what your company or your startup really do. Sometimes founders will focus on the deep technology, the deep tech, and not in the purpose. And this is what really matters, not just for communicating what you really do, but also to communicate to the world what is your company about, and to transmit. And
truly, just one last comment. I'll say, Roberto, very quickly. I was asked at a conference, I was giving a keynote last week, and somebody said, well, scientists, they don't have narrative, they don't have passion. And I went, excuse me? And these people are alive, and they just never had the opportunity to articulate. But it's so important to get their story and marry it with the founder's story, and you have a marvelous combination.
Definitely. Now, I'd like to share with the audience a little bit about Steven. Hi, Steven. Steven is an accelerator of human connections. He's a startup advisor and an active investor. He has specialized in digital marketing and community and startup ecosystem developer. And he is here with us to share a little bit about his experience in the current startup challenges. Please share with us, Stephen, from your experience, what are the biggest challenges that startups are facing in this digital age or digital era, and especially in Latin America, because you're based in Colombia. I'm pretty sure you have a better context into the region.
Sure. All right. So, that's a toughie. Latin is so big, but here's a few. I think for starters, we have an access disparity. There's a fine line between necessity versus opportunity, as one example. So currently, many entrepreneurs tend to be necessity entrepreneurs. They need money to put food on the table this evening, whereas individuals who already have a job, or they're enrolled in high school or college, or are not actively seeking a job before starting businesses, they're defined more as the opportunity entrepreneurs. And initiatives like this ExO Builder help kind of close that gap to increase opportunity entrepreneurs across the new majority, whether you want to call them the traditionally underrepresented groups, historically underfunded. We just want to make sure that everyone has access, because you never know who's going to be the innovator that can kind of solve that world problem that everybody just seems stuck on. So we want to make sure to diversify and have everybody in on entrepreneurship or the entrepreneurial mindset in that sense. And that way we can better catalyze or activate our collective human potential. I think from another one, from a mindset lens, we need to increase our collective confidence. Failure is not the end all be all. There are some stigmas across Latin America, like was shared before with some of our speakers. If you fail, that follows you, and that's it. You're toast, your career is done. So as long as we learn and course correct as quickly as possible and try to change this paradigm or this mindset, we'll have we'll reduce those barriers for people that are reluctant to go into entrepreneurship because their fear of failure for some reason. And beyond overcoming the stigma that failure can follow us forever, we need to be a bit tougher around the naysayers around us, as there will be many, and not because they're mean, and although some may be, but because our friends and family may not understand it. And of course, they want the best for us. So they become afraid for us. Nice intentions, but puts us down and makes us doubt ourselves when we need as much confidence and boost from our family, our support network, to go through entrepreneurship for as long as we can, because it can be a lonely road. And that's one of the reasons there. I think from a technical skills lens, we are seeing that entrepreneurs are getting stuck on 3 critical growth challenges, as I like to call them. They're getting stuck around business idea. What is the business model, so to speak? I have this idea, but can I commercialize it, and can I make it a repeatable process where I'm making money consistently and I'm actually solving a real human problem? They just don't know how to convert the idea into that startup winning market strategy. Second is marketing. They may have the business idea and they're onto a problem that a lot of people need a solution for, but they don't know how to communicate or reach that segment of the people that need this right now. So they're getting a little lost there. The third one, I would say, is sales and service. Okay, they're getting in front of the right people. They just don't know how to engage with them, shape narrative, build trust to then make the sale and increase the chances of them obviously gaining that customer. And recently in Colombia, we held a conference with more than 2,400 where they responded and indicated to us that out of the 20 growth challenges that we've identified for them, these 3 are the biggest hurdles for them as aspiring entrepreneurs. So ideally, we want to focus on quality versus quantity. So if we're doing programming and events out there, let's consider how do we find out where the entrepreneurs are getting stuck? And then let's try to close that gap with targeted strategic programming and events. Just some ideas there.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And this is one of the purpose of Trailblazers and the whole program, right? To have this guided mentorship to perhaps entrepreneurs or startup founders that haven't been able to connect to the ecosystem and to be able to rely on experts' point of view or expand their network in order to make the right connections and of course take the most advantage of the current ecosystem. Thank you very much, Stephen. And now jumping to you, Tom. Let me share a little bit about you with the audience. Tom is a business development leader with a track record of selling software, but also in training and providing business services across his career. Please, Tom, share with us what is the individual impact of a startup being surrounded by mentorship and a global network?
Last couple of weeks. Am I muted? No. You hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Roberto, it's been great chatting with you the last couple of weeks, and I'm really impressed with the network of players that are on this event today. Certainly, I think there is a theme of passion and wanting to give back, and the whole mentoring concept, I think, is very much alive here. When I heard Mike and Edmund talk, I mean, these guys have been around this space a long time with a lot of experience. I ran a company for 15 years, lots of war stories. I like the idea of asking somebody that you're getting advice from in this ecosystem, have you made payroll? And when somebody says they haven't made payroll, they probably haven't had the discussion around what do I pay? Do I get groceries for my wife tonight, or do I pay to pay my best staff or any of my staff, sort of thing? So it's a different mindset, and I think that the mentoring ecosystem is so key, and I see what Pedro's been putting together for the last couple of years now, and I'm just really impressed with how this network's evolving. But mentoring also needs. I also represent a mentoring platform here out of Toronto that it gives a framework around mentoring and making sure that people will carry on and achieve the goals that they're setting for. And I've been talking to Pedro about this too. So it's a whole bunch of if you just put it on a spreadsheet, you may keep track of it. But on the other hand, if you put some framework around your organization's ability to keep track of who's talking to who and who's achieving goals and help those mentors really communicate is key. Anyways, but if there's anything else you wanted to cover off on how the mentoring works it's key to meet with people that are not just your family and your close friends, because I think it was Mark that was saying that you need that people have been there, done it before, experience to guide you, and they're not going to tell you how to do stuff, but they're going to give you some options and help you come up with the options yourselves.
Thank you very much, Tom. So just to wrap up, we'd like to invite everyone on the audience to get to know a little bit more about the Trailblazers program. You can visit our booth. I have shared to the chat as well a link where you can leave us with your contact information, and we'll make sure that you get involved within what's our strategy. We want to build a network around the globe, and of course focus on challenges, and we can expand the ExO Builders network around the globe, but with a local impact, of course. Thank you very much, Tom, Stephen, Mark, and back to you, Pedro.
By the way, Mark, Tom, Stephen, I'm so happy to see you here again. This is very exciting for us. I'm so sorry we had to rush, but there was so much content and so many important people that we wanted to showcase to the audience, but we really appreciate you being here, and we're looking forward to keep on creating the initiatives and building the ecosystem that we need so desperately. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
So for everyone that is in the audience, I really appreciate your time. 3 hours is very valuable to us, and we understand the effort, especially for people that are not in this time zone. And as we were seeing in the chat, we're connecting at crazy hours, especially from Asia. This was a fantastic event for us. We were really proud of being part of the conversation with the people that you saw. We cannot thank enough Adriana Tortajada, Bob Dorff, Edmund Pendleton, Eric Patel, Eugenio Cantuarias, Jeff Hoffman, Mark Schechter, Mike Abbott, Peter Diamandis, Roberto Alvarez, Salim Ismail, Steven Rodriguez, and Tom Hackett. This was very exciting to us, and for everyone that is still watching, please go to the booth section, learn about the ExO Builder ecosystem. This is something that we're building for a better world, and we need your support and we need your help. As you saw, people that are around the project, that are supporting the project, that have been behind the Evely system, the Canoe platform, the community that we have right now, are super inspired. They are very much focused, as Peter and Salim were talking about, on the MTP of improving the world. So guys, we really need your support. This is an undertaking that cannot be done by a tiny team of 50 or 20 people. It cannot even be done by the community that we've trained so far. We need millions of people, so it must be contagious. We think our heart is on the right place, and we have the support system that we need to do it. We're super grateful to all the people that have been involved in the process, the 7,000 people that pitched in to write the book that we're launching in the next couple of days, the 100,000 entrepreneurs that we've trained so far on the 50 cohorts that we ran since 2010. This is very exciting for all of us to see things finally materializing and moving forward with basically standing on shoulders of giants, as you saw. Thank you for watching. This was a blast. Bye.